So this is the advanced block video. I could probably go into a whole class into advanced blocks, but you know, I basically wanted to just give you a tidbit of what you can do for blocks. And basically, a lot of things for blocks is, it's just what you could imagine. There's several features, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos and do a lot of Google searching to get ideas. But so, for example, this is a pipe that we use in our details. So if we want to make the pipe bigger, I can just pull and it stretches the block. And not only is it stretching the block, but you can see here, these are pipelines. So you see the shading at the bottom of the pipe. And so it's stretching, plus at the same time, it's making an array of all these items. So as you're pulling it, it keeps adding and then subtracting. And then to top that off, then we can go through, and here's the list of, if I want a smaller pipe, maybe I only want a 1-inch pipe, or maybe I want a 1-inch open where it doesn't have the pipe end. So it's a piece of equipment and a piece of equipment. So that's pretty advanced. Here, this is less advanced. It's just no stretching or replication. It's just different sizes. So you can see I can choose 2-inch, so it makes it the actual size of a 2-inch fitting. So you can see when we go in here, if I open the block, so this is line work. And so what we do is it's called invisibility states. And so this item here where the pull down is, if you double click it, it brings up invisibility states. So you can name them whatever you want. So we named it 3/4 inch. And you just, you have all your visibility states. So if we then want to go to the next invisibility state, go over there, and now it brings it to the 1-inch. So just think of it this way. If an analogy might be, if a block is a book, each visibility state is a page. And the advantage to that page is that page can be blank each time, or you can retain some information from the previous page. So in this instance, each page is completely blank and we just copy in new information. So this is all new line work from this to this. So let's say I want to add a new one here. And see, this is where I can hide everything, and I can say test. Okay. So now I'm actively on the test, and when I go there, now I have nothing. So now let's say I wanted to just draw something here. Now when I close, I go to test. Now you just see those squiggly lines that I did, or I go back. So each one of these is a page, essentially, in a book. So now let's see how this one is made up. Block editor. So this is the visibility states on here. Each one of these is a visibility state. And then this tells you what each item is. So this is the stretch command. So when it's the stretch command here, we selected this is everything in this box will then stretch from this point here. And then next, this is the array command that is then using this distance, and it arrays only this piece right here. So this is a very complex block. Talking about pages. So this is kind of like Inception. The last one was individual line work, but we often wrap blocks inside of blocks. So this is in itself is a block. So if I then go into another visibility state here, this is another block. You can see I have one insertion point. Move that away. And this has a different name. And so the advantage is now that if I changed, let's say I go back for reference, I moved it away. So this is one block. I can come through, and if I want to get rid of those other blocks, I've now exploded it. And now I've lost my visibility states. And now I just have this single block. If I want to, I can go block editor and I can change it however I want. And now it's a single block. So that's what we do on a lot of things. Like for example, in my equipment legends. So what I'm bringing in is one big block. And then I have the option when I set up my palettes that when I then insert it, is then it exploded. And now I have a block, or actually it didn't explode, sorry. So this is one big block. You can see it has all this pieces of equipment. Now if I hit explode, now I have the block, which is the border. And then each one of these are blocks, which I could choose whatever I wanted. And so I could select something, and then if I wanted that one, I could then explode it. And then now it's the block that was in the block is just there. And then that way somebody doesn't accidentally change it. Let's say I really want it to be this Wilkins 600 and I don't want it ever changed. I can explode it and then it won't change. So that is some cool things with blocks. Here, I'll show you. So with this block, here, you can see visibility state is what's going to change your recycled versus domestic water that we saw in the last video. So if I go to domestic water, it changes it. And then when I stretch, it stretches, and then it also then stretches and then arrays, like we talked about the last one, is it arrays these pieces right here, which is what the equipment legends item line up to. So lastly, then in this one, this is the colors. So if you see the color change, so this is in each visibility state, this is different, but the attributes stay the same. So when we then go into new, you have this option that says you can leave the visibility of existing objects unchanged in new state. You can show all objects in new state. So what we've done is we've selected some of these items, and then that allows us to then keep everything shown, but then this one item that we're changing, which is the color, the yellow, is then the only unique thing on each on the unique visibility state. So it's almost like go to here. I'm going to send this to back. So think of it this way, is think of the station and the flow and the circle are are essentially a transparency in that book, that when you look at any page, that transparency, you see whatever's on the transparency sheet. And so it shows up on all pages. And then all you see is that green dot. Kind of reminds me too of some of those books that us as adults don't read unless you typically have kids. But in kids' books, where like there's holes on pages, and you can you can see stuff on pages further into the book, and so you get that multi effect. So that's kind of like blocks. So I know I'm not showing some of this advanced stuff. I could spend all day on it, but I hope this gives you a lot to think about. When you're in Block Editor, there's all these different things that you can do. So this is the visibility states. You can rotate. So I was talking earlier about rotating, polar. So all these different items are what then create those different instances. So this is what creates, and these blocks, they have a specific name. If you look them up, they're called dynamic blocks. So dynamic blocks, they have the name because dynamic means changing. And so they're not just a static block anymore. They can change. So it's just another way to blocks speed up your drawing, but dynamic blocks can really speed up your drawing. And just like anything, if you need to have really good CAD standards to set up what everything is. And then one last thing, you can reset the block. If you ever make changes, you can always reset the block, and then it starts back. Should start back to its first state. So you can see I had it changed to a different layer state, and if I reset it, it goes back to its default state. So yeah, so that's some cool tips for you. I hope you enjoy. Thanks.